you prefer? Ask the birds. Fear or love, baby, don't say the answer. Actions speak louder, louder than louder than. They speak louder, louder than actions speak louder than.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Keen After Hours. I'm Jonathan Silverstein, the artistic director here at Keen Company. We are an off-Broadway theater company here in New York City. And tonight, we have a very special night tonight. We are going to be joined by the one and only Marsha Mason. So before we get going, I'd like to start today's event with a land acknowledgement. We do this to recognize the long history of the territory where we live and work and its significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live here, and to demonstrate our commitment to addressing the legacy of colonialism in our work and practices. I'm speaking to you today from Brooklyn, which is the traditional land of the Lenape people. And since our activities tonight are shared digitally to the internet, we'd also like to acknowledge and consider the legacy of colonialization embedded within the technologies, structures, and ways of thinking we use every day. We are using equipment and high-speed internet not available in many Indigenous communities. Even the technologies that are central to much of the art we make leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect Indigenous peoples worldwide. We invite you to join us in acknowledging this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good use of this time, and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, and allyship. We will continue this practice of land acknowledgements at all future public events, and to build on this practice in thoughtful ways so as better to engage with Indigenous peoples and Indigenous stories. So let me invite my co-hosts and other Team Keen members in. Ashley and Billy, come on in.
Hello, hello, Johnny.
Wonderful to see you both.
Great to see you, as always.
If people are new here, first of all, welcome. This is Keen After Hours. We're Keen Company. We're an off-Broadway company, like Johnny said. And let's tell the folks a little bit about After Hours, shall we?
Please.
Absolutely. So we have a very cozy, shall we say, office at 520 8th Avenue, which is on the floor of the Alliance of Resident Theaters, New York. Now, our office is very cozy, and it doesn't have a window. And so we keep the office door open, which means that a lot of people come and stop by the office and say hello. So in the early days of the quarantine, we started going live every Wednesday during the day, sort of like we were at the office and invited people in. This season, as we begin our new season, which we began a couple weeks ago, we have moved to an evening time slot, and we are devoting every After Hours to another fantastic luminary of the theater. And we like to think of this as sort of like just a little bit of a chat in our office, even though it's the virtual space right now.
I feel like we all miss theater people, and we think that our patrons miss theater people too. So let's see as many of their awesome faces and hear their stories as possible.
Indeed. So for those of you who don't know, Ashley is our managing producer, and Billy is our marketing manager and runs all of our social media. He's also the wizard behind Keen After Hours. And if you see little boxes moving throughout the night, it's all Billy.
I'm the box boy. Absolutely.
He's yelling like, camera 1, camera 2, go. He's like,
absolutely. Me and my team of interns, absolutely. Yeah.
There's several Teamsters just off screen. You can't tell.
Yep, our line producers.
So shall we invite our esteemed guest to join us?
We shall, and I'm so excited about this guest. I've watched several of her films during quarantine. They're all fantastic. I'm so excited to talk to her. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a 4-time Academy Award nominee and Keen Company board member, the one and only Marsha Mason.
Marsha!
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Just a bundle of cheer.
That's it.
That's the Keen brand.
Yes, it seems to be. Yes.
Now, Marsha, we begin every Keen After Hours with a little tradition that you may be familiar with. I like to introduce the guest as if it were our first rehearsal. Meaning, I'm going to give a little fun facts about you and talk a little bit about your relationship to Keen.
Okay.
So, let's see. Now, Marsha Mason, she needs no introduction as an amazing, amazing actor. And actually, someone recently sent me a clip of The Goodbye Girl, which I first saw in the theater with my mom. And let me just tell you, this clip was sent to me saying, "Was that you, Johnny, with Marsha?"
You have a young Richard Dreyfuss.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, there's a striking resemblance.
Someone said that I have a little bit, maybe I'm not as prickly as he was in that movie. So our personal relationship goes back several years ago, almost 10 years ago, which I can't believe.
Wow.
So at that time, I was not the artistic director. Carl Forsman was the artistic director, and I was directing Robert Anderson's I Never Sang for My Father. And we had cast Keir Delay, and we were looking for an amazing woman to be opposite him. And I believe Carl was at an event and was chatting with Robin Goodman, our friend, and said like, "Hey, we're looking for an amazing actor." And Robin said, "Oh my gosh, I think Marsha Mason would be perfect for this." And I believe we had a quick chat on the phone and you accepted. And then there Marsha was at the first rehearsal. And I was so incredibly nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. Here Marsha Mason is. What am I saying? Am I smart enough? I'm so embarrassed. What's going to happen? And then honestly, within probably like 5 minutes of that rehearsal, I was like, oh, Marsha's just an amazing light and an actor, and she's just in it like the rest of us. So here we go. And it was a beautiful collaboration. And I'm never going to forget the one moment in which your last exit on stage, in which you were on that hospital gurney, and it was just sort of the end of the act, and they rolled you backwards, and I will never forget, you did it for the first time in tech. You went like, as you were being wheeled back, and it just like killed me.
Oh.
But so anyways, flash forward.
Did we keep it in? We kept
We kept it in. We kept it in every night. And I think it killed every audience member too. So Marsha and I did a lot of talking about Keen Company during that time. And then when I took over as artistic director, there was a special position of an artist board member on the board. And I said, Marsha, would you please consider joining us on the board? And you have been an amazing source of strength and support this entire time being on the board. Plus, you're just a wonderful friend. I'm not going to make everyone jealous here, but when Marsha was a Tony voter, she brought me with her to see Hamilton, and I'm never going to forget that.
No, that really was special. That was pretty great. Yeah.
Ashley, do you want to tell your little story about Hamilton in the Keen calendar?
My favorite Marsha Mason adjacent story is that Johnny had thought that he had put this Hamilton night in his personal calendar, but he had added it to the Keen staff calendar. So it just said like all caps Hamilton with Marsha Mason. And we were like, hold on, is this a group event or? He was trying to play it so cool and he outed himself.
Oh God.
We also saw Slave Play together, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a 1-2 punch of shows to see together.
Honestly.
That was pretty amazing too. Yeah.
Wow.
So welcome, Marsha.
Thank you.
And are you coming to us live from Connecticut?
Yes. Yep, I am. I'm sitting here in Washington, Connecticut.
How is everything up there? How's your garden?
Everything is good. The flowers are kind of waning now, and it's getting cooler at night. And I just brought in all the bird feeders so the raccoons don't destroy them. But otherwise, everything is pretty okay. We had, fortunately, some rain because it's been pretty dry up here. But it's gorgeous, and I'm very grateful that I get to be here.
Are you getting into the fall foliage season? For all
Oh,
of these
yeah.
changes?
Well, and as a matter of fact, it's been happening for about, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks. And we had this big long rain just last week. And so a lot of the leaves have dropped, but
Wow.
we don't have as vibrant the colors as we used to, that we did a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, when you joined us on for the Give 20 on 20 Keenathon, we heard a bit about your bird watching. How did that go over the spring and summer?
Well, I mean, now I'm like so into ornithology. I can't stand it. I'm a member of the Cornell Lab Ornithology Bird Watching Group.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow. Booked it.
I love it. I mean, I absolutely love it. And I watched throughout the summer this whole kind of flock of wild turkeys, a mother and her 7 poults. I learned poults. And now they're full grown, and they're not coming around as often as they did. I feel that perhaps in their DNA they realize we're getting close to Thanksgiving and they're hiding.
I think so.
That makes sense.
But otherwise, I'm entertained constantly at the all the bird feeders. So
Mhm.
It's probably amazing. I guess that's the silver lining of being home more often. You get to really engage with the nature.
that's right. And it's the first time. I mean, I built this house, and I just celebrated my 2nd year in August. And so this was really the first year that I got to spend in a consistent way, because last summer I was working in the city. So,
Mhm.
and I would gladly work in the city again, but not right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I loved that piece. That was the piece at Irish Rep with the monologues, right?
Yeah, Little Gem. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we had a wonderful time. It was really good. I was very challenged and very happy with the outcome, because memorizing it was like memorizing a novel. I mean,
Mhm.
monologues that were, 2 and 3 pages long and everything, single spaced. It was like, that made me feel good,
It was beautiful because you all had such a beautiful connection, even if you really only connected towards the end.
Yeah.
So nice to see, and I thought really you could just feel the warmth and the family on that stage.
That's nice, because I think Mark really did a wonderful job. Mark Borrell Atkinson did a really great job directing it and finding that in the piece, because traditionally it was always done like you're in a spotlight, sitting on a chair or something, and
Mhm.
we really tried to create a whole environment and a sense of connection towards the end. So I liked that a lot. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was watching it and quaking in my boots because like a month later I was gonna start rehearsals for another monologue play.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. We did Molly Sweeney right after.
Yeah.
Another Irish monologue play.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was beautiful. Yours was gorgeous too. It was lovely. I thought the set was gorgeous. That's one of the things that you have really so impressed me, is that I know what the budget is, and that what you put on the stage is just extraordinary for what you're given in terms of finances. It's really quite wonderful, Jonathan. It's really great.
Well, thank you. We're so lucky to have some amazingly talented designers who really understand what a budget is. And what I always appreciate is that they're able to sort of like, they know what they can do with that money. So that we always get something amazing rather than sort of like going too far and it looking terrible, which was always a concern.
Yeah.
But we're really blessed. And Stephen Kemp did that set, and he is a gem.
Yeah.
He's also a new dad. He just
is he?
Yes,
Yeah,
he just had a baby.
That's a new member of Team Keen.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Exactly. The babies are our guests next week. Yeah.
Oh,
So, Marsha, we always like to ask a couple questions sort of about your career. And honestly, we could probably go on for 2 hours because you've had such an amazing career. Can you tell us a little something about you getting started in your career, whether that's high school or earlier or your first professional job, whatever you'd like to share with us?
Well, it started in high school. I'm not even exactly sure. It was really interesting. I guess I signed up just really because I wanted to. I didn't really know that I wanted to do that, at the beginning. But I signed up, and I had this remarkable experience of jumping out of a box, a plywood box. I was a jack in the box in a holiday piece of production that the school was doing, and there was this row of young kids that was on the gym floor, and when I popped out of the box, they all went like this, and I was so totally hooked. Hooked from that moment on. So I joined, the speech and drama club, and in those days we had those kinds of artistic outlets in schools and everything. And we used to compete kind of regionally in one-act play festivals and stuff like that. So by the time I was a sophomore, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I was hoping I'd go to Northwestern maybe, but then I couldn't afford it. So I wound up at a local small Catholic women's college, but it had a phenomenal drama department, and I got a scholarship, and I spent 4 of the happiest years there, and I learned a lot. And then as soon as I graduated, I went to New York.
Wow. Well, okay. First of all, I've just got to give a shout out to like not going to the big theater school. Like, I think more people need to hear that. I always tell people I didn't go to a big theater school either for undergrad, and I think it's amazing. People make what they get what they can from wherever they are, and how amazing that you had a great theater program there.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I had great roles, St. Joan and Lark, and and a couple of the musicals, and even my father was in them because it was then a Catholic women's college, so we always got the men from University or locally. So I was always, when we did Playboy of the Western World, he played one of the guys there. And it was
how funny.
Yeah. And it was very interesting to go to rehearsal and have a completely different relationship with my father than you would normally have. I mean, he would just come in from work and he'd sit back in the back and he'd learn his lines. And, it was, and then we'd go home and we'd sit around the kitchen table and have beer together and talk about the play. So it was really kind of wonderful. Yeah.
Wow. And so did your father kind of get involved because of you, or was he also a theater person?
No, I think mostly because I, basically volunteered him when I was in high school, and because that was also a Catholic girls' high school. So, he played the Wizard of Oz, and things like that. And so when I got to Webster, and he was great. He had a natural feel for it, and he had a bigger part in a musical than I did. But he and my mom, they belonged to a group at the parish church, and the parish church used to do some sort of variety act or some kind of festive thing that the parishioners would spend several months working on. And my mother was the stage manager, and my father was performing. So
wow,
That's
Wow,
amazing.
really? All in the family.
yeah.
I know. And his name was James Mason. So what can you do? A lot of people thought I was, Portland.
Wow. And so you moved to New York, and
Yeah.
can you tell us what one of your first professional jobs?
One of my first professional jobs
What does
was
that mean?
selling coats at Bonwit Taye, Bonwit Tellers. My first,
Part of the coat salesman.
yeah, right. One of my very first jobs, strangely enough, was a black and white movie called Hot Rod Hullabaloo. And I don't even remember exactly. I think I went to an audition that was in backstage. And it was a drive-in type movie all about demolition cars and stuff like that. And I played the bad girl, Sheila. And I got hit on the head with a rock or something.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but that was literally, I think, even before my first New York play job, which was Deer Park, which was written by Norman Mailer, and Rip Torn, and Will Lee, and a whole slew of people. And then my very second job was Happy Birthday, Wanda June, and that turned out to be Kurt Vonnegut. So it was interesting that my first two plays were with these great novelists who decided to try and write a play. So that was fascinating to me. And then I was, in the meantime, always auditioning for Cactus Flower on Broadway and never quite getting it. And finally got hired as Botticelli Springtime and understudying the ingenue lead. And then what happened was there was a funny situation that developed with the Merrick office because the understudy to Tony quit or was no longer under contract. And the star that was in the lead couldn't do the show, and we had not had any rehearsal.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so that we came to a Monday night. In those days, we were playing Monday to Saturday with Sunday off, I think. And so I said to the stage manager, I can do it. And we had a rehearsal that afternoon, and I went on.
Wow.
How sure were you that you really could do it, or was it a little bit of a bluff?
It was just youth and just passion.
Yeah.
That said you can do it. Do you know what I mean? And I got to tell you, you go into another mental state when you're actually in it. And it was interesting because there had been no rehearsal, there was a slight switch in a certain scene that wasn't in the book. You know what I mean? Because they worked it out, and I would have known if I had had a rehearsal. And we came to this moment, and there was this long pause. And I turned to one of the actors and I said something to them, and they picked it up. And then it was only afterwards that everybody realized that I did not have any of that
Wow.
direction. So we just improvised it and then moved on. So it was, but the Merrick office was very impressed. And so I wound up going on the road playing the lead role. So,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah.
That was a great story.
Well, I wound up in Deer Park. I was understudying one of the leads, and it was Beverly, who was then married to Norman, and she was in a slight car accident, nothing serious, but it delayed her getting for a matinee, and I had to go on with the book. So I had that experience, my very first experience. I went on with the book.
Wow.
And it was really fascinating because the audience is so with you. They really, you know, they're really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I once saw a production at the Roundabout of Mackinac on opening night, and they had a turntable.
Yeah, I saw that show. I saw that show, yeah.
It broke, and they stopped for a long time, and then it seemed, I think the people who built the turntable were there in the audience, and they ended up manually moving it the entire show. It was the best thing I had ever seen. I think I think the audience went crazy. I mean, audiences love that when there's
God, yes, absolutely, yeah.
It reminds me why it's live, you know.
Once in a lifetime, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how did you had a long association with the Old Globe?
Yes.
And Jack.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that sort of came about?
Well, Jack O'Brien and I met at ACT. I was there doing a season of Rep, and he came to direct an original production that Ellis Rabb had done with APA, and he had started out as Ellis's assistant. Anyway, so he was good to direct me, and I was in the Rosemary Harris role. I was very excited. And so we became friends while we were doing that. And then I finished up, and then the movies came and so forth and so on. But when it came time to do The Good Doctor, Neil Simon's The Good Doctor, where that's how we met and got married, and we got to do it for American Playhouse on PBS. And so they got Jack to direct it, which was wonderful. And then I wound up going to the Old Globe and doing 12th Night with him. And then we've stayed friends all this time. I wound up doing Impressionism on Broadway, which he directed. And then I was his associate director for All My Sons just a couple seasons ago. So, and he's been very supportive of my directing and stuff like that. So, yeah, we have a long history.
He's amazing. He is just amazing.
Yeah, and he loves actors and he loves the theater, and he just is he has the energy of a 20-year-old. He exhausts me, and he's older than me.
Oh man.
Not by a few years. In case he sees this. Yeah.
I love hearing that The Good Doctor was a good experience for you. I did that show in high school, so that is a show that is very near and dear to my heart. And I played the writer role. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so was your experience doing that film about drag racing perhaps one of the reasons why you got into it yourself?
You know, I don't know exactly where that came from, but what happened was when I was in high school, one of my best friends, Jane, her father was had I think, several, what do you call them? Car, where you buy a car kind of thing.
Mhm.
Well, he decided on the spur of the moment to buy a track that was not being used, a racetrack. And it had a long straightaway and some loops and stuff. And so he started having drag races on the straightaway. And so Jane came and said she had to go to the track on a Sunday to help pass out pit passes. And I said, oh, I want to do that. So we'd get up at the crack of dawn and we'd go to mass, and then we'd go out to the track. And I got to hand out pit passes to these drivers, and they were all very cool. Extremely cool. They had black T-shirts, and their cigarettes were rolled up into their thing, and I got fascinated because I would watch them unroll very carefully and methodically all the parts of their cars, whether they were funny cars or dragsters or whatever, and in oilcloth and everything, and the sound and the smells and all of it. It was so fascinating to me. So then fade out, I go off, I'm having my life.
Mhm.
And I'm on a plane one afternoon, coming from New York to Los Angeles, and Paul Newman's on the plane, and I knew him socially, and he and Joanne. And so I said, oh, what are you coming out to LA for? And he said, oh, I'm going to race at Riverside. And I said, oh, racing. I said, I loved racing. And he said, you want to come out? So I said, could I, So I wound up going out, spending the weekend there. And I talked to the head of the team and said, well, where are you going to go next? And by this time I was divorced and a single person, so I could pretty much do whatever I wanted if I wasn't working. So I said, well, where are you going? And they told me, and I said, well, could I come? I said, I'll pay my way and everything, and I'll stay out of the way. I won't be a bother. And they said, sure, come on, we'll get you a room. It'll be fine. So I spent a year traveling with the team.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Wow.
And going whenever I could. And I went all over the country with the team, and whenever I could. And finally, Paul said to me, why don't you go to school? And I said, I had no idea there were racing schools. So he called up Bob Bondurant, and I went to Bob Bondurant's, and then I went to Jim Russell's, and then I went to Skip Barber's. So I went to all the available good schools. And then I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I just loved it and loved the challenge of it. And a kid was selling his car for $2,500 in Rialto or whatever. So I bought his car, and they put a big X on the back of the car so that all the racers know that there's a rookie. And I got my license, my SCCA license. And before I knew it, I was really serious about it. So I had to have a volunteer crew chief, and I had to find guys to help me and everything. And my home track was out in LA, in Button Willow and all of those places out in Palmdale. And I teamed up then with a professional who was also racing Mazdas, which my car happened to be, and he'd help me and the team we had whenever he could. And then he called me up one day and said, you want to team up? And I said, okay. So we wound up with one of those big long trucks and 3 cars, and we traveled the country, and I made the Valvoline runoffs 4 or 5 times, and I was always coming in the top 4 of the Pacific Division. So
Oh my gosh.
well, I did it for
Wow.
7 years. Yeah.
That is so cool.
It's so cool, and it's just so inspiring. I love that you just follow your passion.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Well, it was really interesting because I said to myself, okay, if this doesn't work, if I can't do this, then that's fine. I'll just stay out of the way. I'll stay out of everybody's way, and I'll just see if I can, bring the car home. So, and at first, a lot of the guys, I was the only woman in the division, in GT3 division. So, it was kind of interesting, getting looked on and everything with the somewhat, dicey attitude. But pretty soon, then we all became friends. It was a wonderful group of people that I never would have had a chance to meet. And I made wonderful friends, and they were lovely and very terrific. And the guys were very helpful, and they actually wanted me to do better, and they pushed me. And then eventually, when I started to pass them, they, okay, we've taught you enough.
Wow. Somebody has to make a movie about that, Marsha. That is like,
I haven't gotten you starring in a fast driving action movie yet.
Why hasn't Fast and the Furious 11? You and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Come on.
Yep.
It's true. Yeah, I learned all of it. Yeah, double clutch, downshift, and the whole thing. In fact, one of my favorite movies is Ford versus Ferrari.
Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
You seem like a person who always just goes all in. Like, you've had so many avenues of your life because you just find something that you're excited about, including bird watching, which has happened only in the last couple months. And you're like, this is fascinating to me. And you take it as far as it can possibly go. It's really
anyway. Yeah, I try.
So amazing.
Many people may not know that you have been a successful farmer and businesswoman of beauty products.
Yeah, well, of wellness products, really, not beauty so much, but medicinal herbs. Yeah. When I made the move to New Mexico, I was really at a crucial point. I was racing then, and but the business had changed. I was living in LA. I was now divorced. And it had really was becoming very youth oriented, and the parts were not quite as interesting as they had been. And I just decided to kind of throw all the pieces of my life up in the air and see what kind of pattern would come down. And my friend Shirley MacLaine told me that she was going to buy some land out there. And so I started looking, and I had friends who actually wanted to do the same thing. My ex-husband and his partner, not Neil, my first husband, and he came from New Mexico. So I went out with them a couple of times and just looked at land. And it was odd because Neil we had gone out to Santa Fe, and he liked it, which really surprised me, and wound up while I was working, I think, on one of the movies. I can't remember which one it was. Only When I Laugh, I think. So he went out and wound up buying a house outside of Santa Fe. But I wound up going out there more than he did. And so I just figured, why not? And then Shirley called and said, oh, I saw this really great, thing. It'd be perfect for you. I bought the mountain behind it. So,
like you do.
Okay. So I did. I went out and I looked, and it was this gorgeous. It was late in the afternoon, and the sun was slanted, and the horses were out in, a field, and it was all on a river, and it just looked so pretty. That I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I bought it. And then one thing kind of led to another. I had no intention of being a farmer. And before you know it, I was, growing medicinal herbs and being certified organic. And I wound up being the chairperson of the New Mexico Organic Commodities Commission.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was so I spent 20 plus years there and wound up, developing a body product but all based on medicinal herbs. So,
Wow.
Talk about 9 lives.
Yeah.
Like,
I was president of the Bird Watching Society at any moment. But
I think learning how to run a business, learning how to run the farm, managing Hispanic men, it was such an education, and I think I really came into me as a woman, as a person, in a way that I wouldn't have if I had stayed in LA, where I was so identified only with work. And consequently, when the work wasn't happening as much, I had to re-look at how I was really seeing myself. And I had to, really come to terms with the fact that the acting is really just the work and not my identity. And then consequently, because of that, and because of learning those skills and growing up there in a way and maturing, it made me, I think, a good director, because all those management skills and dealing with personalities and also painting with nature. I mean, I had to reroute water and make lakes, and ponds and stuff. So it was really quite an education that I wouldn't have had, Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Just one woman's story.
That's what I'm saying. I can't wait for the biopic. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Billy's going to write a musical. He's taking notes, I can tell.
Absolutely. I'm ready for it. Absolutely.
It certainly does go to show, just listening to your inner voice and sort of, going for your passions. I mean, like, did you ever think you would become a farmer? That's just amazing.
I know. I never planned any of it. Yeah, that's true. It's only now that I start to think about planning certain things, like one's will, or whatever. And then, the pandemic comes along and you go, okay, it's all up for grabs again. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Good way of thinking about this crazy time. You've just
because it's kind of, the change is inevitable. So this will pass, and there will be a new normal, and it will be different. And I think it's really important to flow with it and do it, and be okay about it and not fight it.
That's a very good point. That is a very good.
At least I try. And then there are some days when I'm very, very weary of it all. So, Yeah.
When did you start knowing that you wanted to direct more? Because I know you've done a lot more of that recently.
Actually, it was, again, Robin Goodman. She's one of my best friends. And when she and Carol Rothman were putting together the second stage, she gave me the opportunity to direct a play, because I was kind of interested in it, and it came out all right, and happy with it. We had a beautiful cast: Daniel Day Kelly and Betty Buckley and Mary Kay Place. And
what was the play, Marsha?
It was called Juno Swans, written by E. Catherine Kerr, who just recently passed away. She was a wonderful actress. Oh, great. And anyway, so she gave me the first shot, and then I wound up directing an afternoon school special for CBS, and that came out all right. And then
what?
Yeah,
not at all.
What
was the special?
What was the issue?
I'm trying to remember the name. It was about bulimia. It was about a young girl who was had an addiction to, have that not anorexia, bulimia, where you eat and then want to purge. Anyway, so yeah,
a lot of those at my school, so I bet I saw.
Yeah, those are legendary.
yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, PBS was wonderful. They gave me an opportunity to do it, so that was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was I directed a couple of scenes when Robin was working on a soap opera, so I got to learn for camera live video stuff, and that was very exciting because you have to call the show, and that's very intense. And
I can imagine, yeah.
But
the
I have
opera world seems overwhelming to me. The fact that they crank those out so quickly.
Oh, I know, yeah. But so that's, there were these bits and pieces, and then I didn't do it for a while, and then I again, Robin, when she and her partners decided to take over Bucks County, they asked me to do one of their first shows. So I did chapter 2 for them. And then I wound up doing it in Arizona and in 2 different theaters there, and stuff like that. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Craziness. I love that you just went, and then all of a sudden we're directing TV as well.
And legendary TV. I tell you, we still watch that in school. We still watch it.
Yeah.
So funny.
Something about you like jumping in and directing for camera reminds me of you being the same person who was like, I can do it on a Monday after.
I know. It's like, I don't know. I think I really like to scare myself. I really do. I think I probably, it was a lot like that with Little Gem, because I didn't have any time. I thought for sure that I was a replacement for somebody that they had hired before who couldn't do it, because I wound up being hired a week before we started rehearsal.
Whoa.
So I had to really, hunker down. But I felt if I can do this, it'll make me feel okay about memorization and everything. As you get older, you want to challenge yourself so that you keep that gray matter jiggling.
Wow.
I so believe that thing about fear, and you want to be scared every project you have in some way. Otherwise it doesn't feel right in a certain way.
Johnny literally just said in a call like 2 hours ago about a project, I'm so excited, I'm so scared, so that's a good sign. And so we were like, yay.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. But on the other hand, what I've also noticed that is, as I've gotten older, I have even more fear before I go on.
Oh.
I kind of read, I remember reading about Olivier and Ian Holm and a couple of other actors who, with big parts, like Lear and stuff like that, where they just become so terrified they're in a fetal position in their dressing room or something.
Yeah.
So because as you get, you would think, and I know most people say that to me, they're kind of surprised because they think if you do it long enough, it goes away. But in point of fact, my experience is that it gets tougher. Maybe partly because you have such a high standard for yourself, I guess, you know know what good is as you get older. I think, I don't know for sure, but
well, you also mentioned in the understudying situation, you were like, I was young, I didn't know, I just went on and did it. And I do think there's so many things when you're young that you just do, and you edit yourself as you get older.
Well, you don't really have anything to lose either. I mean, it feels like you do, but in some ways, sheer terror really seems to get you through it in some ways, Yeah.
I think these guys have seen Billy and Ashley have seen enough sheer terror in these eyes. Running Keene Company.
I know.
No, you're a fearless leader, Johnny.
It must be really hard, though, to be the artistic director and have to deal with all the administrative things and then the constant raising money and all of it. And at the same time, you know, I mean, you only have 24 hours in the day and only so much mental and emotional energy and physical energy. It's really amazing what you're able to accomplish.
Well, thank you. I mean, luckily I have an amazing team behind me that make, you know, that works with me to make it all happen, because otherwise it just wouldn't happen. But
Yeah.
I will tell you, there are times in which I'm like, I am just out of steam or like don't know something, and I will just lay it out in the office. And then, you know, a couple hours later, we've got a path forward.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And it's so good to have a support team. I agree. Yeah.
We may have a very small windowless office, but it has a lot of good energy in it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was.
Well,
Yeah,
as
sure.
you know, the board has been a big part of that, especially recently. Running a theater in the last 6 months has been an adventure. And we had, you know, several emergency board meetings where you guys had our backs, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a great group. It really is. Wonderful group.
It really is. It really is. It's been a crazy couple months, and it's been wonderful to know that people have our backs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I'm glad.
Ashley, should we move on to the Keene Question Bowl?
Oh, our lightning round questions.
Oh, okay. What is that?
All right, let's see if we can get a good one here.
We're going to hold up pictures of birds, and you have to say the name of them.
That won't happen.
Are you a coffee or tea person, Marsha?
I'm a coffee person.
Oh, okay.
I like both, but I do drink. I look forward to coffee in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, matinee or evenings? Which performances do you prefer?
You know, I like them for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I find matinee audiences can really be quite wonderful
Mm-hmm.
and also extremely irritating. And nighttime can be kind of sloggy and very euphoric. It's interesting. It just depends. Yeah.
Which do you attend more as a patron?
Which of what?
Do you go to more evenings or matinees?
I go, let's see. I go to mostly evenings.
Yeah, me too. Interesting.
Mm.
Okay, what's the craziest job you ever had? Although passing out passes at
a drag strip.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, in the wilds of Missouri. Yeah, the craziest job. I guess that was the craziest job. It's actually in The Goodbye Girl. Neil actually stole it. I did one of those car shows.
No, really?
Oh.
Yeah, at Columbus Circle when it was Columbus Circle. And I was on a big platform that moved around, and I had a thing, and I had to talk about the car. Yeah.
I had no idea that was real. That's so funny.
That's so funny. Such a great scene too. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Are you binging any TV shows when you're in quarantine?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm hooked on? I am hooked on European television series in foreign languages.
Oh.
I am totally hooked on everything that was Norwegian, Swedish, or Finnish.
Really?
Because they tell stories in a very different way. Their pace is slower or somewhat, and the only problem is that they're all dark, and I mean literal dark, because their environments are dark. But right now, I've been hooked on Spiral out of France. I'm on season 4 or something. I watched all of Le Bureau. Yeah, I watched Twins with that fabulous guy from, the Game of Thrones, the big redhead. Yeah, I was so totally hooked on all of those shows.
And I assume you watch with subtitles, or do you speak many languages? I don't know.
No, I watch with subtitles. Yeah,
Because we'd believe it. We'd believe it if you spoke all those languages.
After tonight.
I keep hoping that I'll learn something,
You'll observe it.
I remember I met a beautiful Japanese waitress in full kimono and everything at a very swanky Japanese restaurant years ago. And she spoke beautiful English, and I complimented her, and she told me that she learned it watching The Tonight Show. So, yeah. So I'm saying French.
Yeah.
Well, the last one, I think our viewers are going to be happy. I pulled, what's your dream role? Do you have any more? I mean, gosh, you've done everything. Do you have any more on your bucket list?
Oh, I do. I have a really long bucket list.
Oh, good.
Do Gertrude in Hamlet. I'd like to do the Queen of Yes. There's still a lot of roles that I think would really be interesting to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I do regret that I haven't been able to play some of the ones that I really wanted to, because of age. But again, I just try to think about the ones that I still can do.
Yeah.
Any shows you're dying to direct? Is there an overlap there? Is there something?
No, I have a couple of projects that I've been working on, and I don't want to talk about them yet because it's too soon, but I'm very excited about them. And one is a dramatic piece about 2 young boys who competed for the Australian Olympics. And I'm devising ways to show swimming without water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think we've accomplished it. So I'm very excited about that. So we'll see. We have to do a workshop now and combine the 2 elements, the acrobatic work and the script. So I think it could be kind of neat.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. A sort of a theatrical event, rather than
And it's a new play?
Yes, actually
Wow.
it is. It was a play that was originally a film, and the producers said, gee, maybe this could be a play. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I want to see you do Shakespeare.
Yeah, me too. I love
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Marsha, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm so happy to be here, as you know, and I love Keen and I love you guys. So I'm really thrilled. I hope that we can keep everything out there and bouncing and full of positive energy, and we can get back to, being in the theater.
And we're gonna work with you with Sorry Wrong Number soon.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yeah, coming in February. There are a lot of people who are really looking forward to hearing that.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Marsha.
Oh, you're welcome. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, that was great.
Billy, I'm ready for your musical about.
I know. The Marsha Mason story starring Kate Baldwin. Come on.
Done.
Be perfect.
I love all the different high school stories we've gotten. Like, we're really rocking them up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's been super inspiring. I mean, and someone like I didn't realize Marsha did all of that. That's incredible. She's such an inspiration. Such an inspiration. Yeah.
Amazing. So speaking of Sorry Wrong Number, Sorry Wrong Number is going to be part of our benefit broadcasts that are coming up. These are special benefit readings of classic old time radio shows. And as our season is inspired by old time radio, we really wanted to take a look at some big classic ones. And it just so happens that we have one coming up for Halloween on the 30th. That is a Friday. We're going to be doing a sort of revival of War of the Worlds, starring the one and only Jason Tam.
Woo-woo!
Can't wait.
Broadway's Jason Tam?
Broadway's Jason Tam. Broadway's Jason Tam, and also Keene Company's Jason Tam. Jason Tam starred in the first Keene Company intimate musical, Marry Me a Little, back in 2012.
And your first production as an artistic director.
That's
really
right.
Full circle.
That's right. So we've got a really exciting cast. Arnie Burton's going to be joining him.
Love a big Arnie Burton fan.
Kyrie Walker, Courtney Thomas.
Alabama Sky.
Yep. Courtney Thomas.
From Shirley to Mercy. I'm doing all their plugs.
Yes. Thank you.
Morgan Siobhan Green.
Yes.
From our last gala, that blew everyone away.
And also Be More Chill with Jason. A newcomer to Keene, Dan Dominguez. He's amazing. I'm so excited to see him or hear him. It's going to be all audio, and it's going to be available on Broadway On Demand. And if you just go to our website at www.keencompany.org, you can find out all sorts of information, as well as our Here Now season, which is beginning next week with 1993 by Finkel.
Our War the Worlds is a separate fundraiser. Tickets are just $25. But if you sign up to be a Here Now season member, then you get discounts to all of our benefit broadcasts, including War of the Worlds. So you might want to just go ahead and sign up to the Here Now season. Then you'll get an amazing email with the discount information, and you can support us through the fundraiser, but also attend War of the Worlds.
And next week at Keene After Hours, we have a very exciting show with two guests. I know our first duo on the show, a double feature from Keene's production of Blues for an Alabama Sky. We have John Andrew Morrison and Jasmine Johnson coming, and we're very excited. They're a ball and a half. It's going to be a really fun show.
I love both of them.
They are amazing. They did a duo visit for our Keenathon, and I am excited to spend some more time with them next week.
Let's see if we can get two good high school stories out of them. That's apparently our thing now.
Really?
I bet we can.
I'll ask them if anyone has been a race car driver.
Yeah.
Or
a bird watcher, a farmer.
Well, I guess that is the end of tonight's Keene After Hours, but it's been a joy spending the time with all of you on screen and all of you at home. So thank you so much for joining us again. And we look forward to seeing you at the virtual theater soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.